All right, so we're back with the 84 C10. We got the fenders moved up. So both of these fender wells have been moved up 4 inches, and that'll gave us room for the tires. And so on the front, again, it's 2.5 drop spindles and 1 coil off, and on the back it's spring under. And I think we're gonna have to do some work on these chrome strips or whatever. Have to roll it or something for turning and stuff, you know. I mean, if you're a drag racer, you don't really need that, but probably need that on this truck. But so this was just kind of a quick and dirty, you know, first time I'd ever cut and sectioned and moved up fenders. Never had to do that before. So, you know, like I say, it's not 100%, you know, like to the nth degree, whatever. It's just kind of cut everything, remove the metal, move it up, and then, you know, let it ride. I had to relocate the battery. It was this orientation here, and I had to, I just basically cut and sectioned the factory box and bolted it in the factory locations, welded some tabs to it and all. Had to run a longer battery cable because the other one, I guess, was the one that originally came on the Trio 5, and it didn't reach anymore. So luckily I had another cable that was the right length, fit good. I got the O2s in, got the clamps on the exhaust. I did get the relay wired in for the TCC. So what has to happen is you have to use a 5-pin relay, and you have to have keyed power going through the, the pin that's continuous all the time, and then when the relay opens, then it loses the 12 volts. So I got that wired in, so now when you come to a stop and press the brake, you know, the torque converter will unlock. I tried to turn down the regulator, but for excuse me, for some reason it's a tamper resistant Torx, and the stupid thing is like a T8 or something, and the one that was on there, it was so far in, as soon as I touched it, it broke off my tamper resistant Torx bit in the other regulator. So I went and got another regulator and broke the tamper resistant Torx tit off on the inside so I can use a regular Torx bit, because apparently it needs all the strength it can get to turn it. So the other one was run all the way in, and then I backed this one out and put a gauge on it, and with the screw all the way out there, it's at 58, which is where we want. So got that taken care of, and again, I've got to make a bracket for this. I wanted it up here. I really like it right here, but that hinge right there will crush it, so I'm gonna have to move it down here somewhere in there, make a bracket, put it in there. So then I guess I'll do some driving on it and data log and look everything over, make sure the transmission shifts properly, and like I say, have to roll the fenders or something there to get the extra clearance for turning. And and I had to put the bottle here. These things are always so problematic. They're just a weird enough shape and everything where they only fit where they fit on the Chevrolet trucks right here, and trying to move them is just, I don't know why it's always so difficult for me, because the hose configuration and then the brackets on the thing, I usually end up cutting the plastic arm off that goes down to the inner fender, but I actually was able to use the arm to bolt it to the inner fender. So it's obviously now it's too tall to fit here. So it's just, it's always a domino effect. You lower it, and then you got to raise the inner fenders, and then nothing fits, and then you got to reconfigure that, and it's just, it's what we live for. I did try to tidy up the wiring some, just kind of pulled it up and made them all together. Obviously I haven't loomed them yet, but I kind of want to drive it, make sure everything works, because I'd hate to have everything fully taped up and loomed, and then you go drive it and there's a problem, and then you got to troubleshoot, and then, it's easier to just kind of leave it and drive it, make sure everything's okay, and go from there. I don't know if you can see that O2. Yeah, you can see the O2 down there is like super close to the shift arm. That's the $40 shift arm I was talking about. And it was so close to the O2 down there, I actually had to loosen and move it up a little bit on the arm to clear the O2. But it actually cleared, and I was gonna relocate them, but the problem is everything's so tight under there, getting a drill bit in and drilling it and welding it and all that just didn't look too promising. So the ones that we got screwed in and fit and everything, so just barely. I mean, they just barely fit, but they're in there. So anyway, that's about to wrap it up on this one, hopefully. And like I say, just go drive it and check everything out, make sure everything's good on it. I think the stance and everything turned out good. Like I say, I don't really do stuff this low, but that was a first. It wasn't too terrible sectioning and moving the fenders. It just the look at it, figure it out, and then start cut. And that's all you can do. And speaking of cutting, so we got this thing over here. I've been looking up all the panels and stuff I'm gonna have to get to fix this, all this rust and everything. So it got the structure under here, it got the floor pan, the corner, and all the rockers, and all this is trash. And it was also looked like it got whacked pretty hard right here. So the top side's kind of out away from the door right here, so I'm gonna try to push that out and straighten this and fix this corner, and I want to get the bed back together so I can continue on with this thing. And I gotta finish the exhaust and all that stuff. So, but at least now it runs and drives and moves, so I can back it in and out of the shop. And so I've got to do a couple more things to the Denali. I've got to change the rear shocks on it, change transmission filter, change the fluid and all in it, and then I'm gonna move these two out and get the Denali in here. And then I'm gonna try to get my Caprice in here. I've got a twin turbo 6.2 Caprice that I forget I have sometimes, but I want to try to get it dialed in and get it straightened out. We're going to take it down to Michael, put it on ethanol, and then basically just pin the gate shut and see what it'll make. And hopefully he can get it dialed in pretty good, because I'd like to start driving it. The compressor on it, the AC compressor, runs, but it doesn't blow cold. And I've done another one of those cop cars where it was the same thing. The compressor would run, but it didn't have any pressure. The compressor wasn't compressing. So the daggum compressor and it doesn't have an expansion tube. It's got like an external thing. I don't know how you call it, but anyway, all that stuff was like $430 something through Rock Auto. So it was tough. So, but anyway, we're in Georgia, so driving around in the heat pretty much sucks without AC. So got to get that taken care of. And so if I can get the AC fixed on it and get Michael to get the tune dialed in and be able to drive it and get some fuel mileage out of it, then, hopefully I can start driving it some. But the big problem, or the main reason I don't drive it, is because of the fuel mileage. It gets like 200 miles on a tank, which is just, to me, is horrible. So I hate I don't like that. So right now it's piggyback with a Holly Dominator. I'm gonna take all that off and then just run on the stock ECU, since Michael can tune all that and fix everything. And again, from what I've learned and what he's taught me with the other trucks, that tuning cruise off of a wideband just doesn't work, because the exhaust flow is not enough for the wideband to get an accurate reading. So typically, well, on every turbo truck I've done where I've tuned it, using the wideband at cruise, the air fuel's been 10-0. So you're not going to get any fuel mileage with 10-0 air fuel ratio. So that's what I'm going to do, is just put it back on the stock ECU. I am going to keep the Dominator in it, and I'm going to use it, for boost control and to run. I've got it running a few things on the car, so I'm going to keep it on there for that, just because it's already there and integrated, and I really don't want to mess with removing it and all the trouble and heartache it'd be to just completely remove it, because I do need it for a couple things. I mean, if I had it to do over, I wouldn't have put it on there, but I mean, it's basically a big waste of money leaving it in there. But like I say, I'm going to use the boost control part of it, and I'm going to use it to turn on my other fuel pump, and it turns on the oil scavenge pump for the turbos, because they're low mount. So, but anyway, that's what we got coming up. I think I got a couple DOD deletes coming in, if they'll ever bring them. But that's about it for now.